What's up, my friends? Welcome back to another edition of Crossing the Line podcast. Thanks so much for checking us out once again. We are down a man. Jack is away. He doesn't know how to work a calendar on his phone, apparently, and has overbooked himself. So it's just the three of us today. It's myself, Tyler Zulli, Mike Davella, Mark Fignani, back with another episode. That is a beautiful hat that I know that you went and bought for yourself.
Yeah, it's mine.
Mark.
I bought it. It was a purchase
TJ
I had
Maxx?
to make because it fits me perfectly, obviously.
It works well for you. You look like the guy from Rocky and Bullwinkle, the Mountie. Except the hat's not as tall. It's just your hair.
He looks handsome with a capital H and a capital Ansem.
Oh, so handsome. Oh my gosh.
Oh, guys, we do have a lot to get into. Jack is off this week. It's just the three of us. We got a lot of baseball to break down, including a no-hitter that just happened today. This wasn't part of our plans, but Michael Lorenzen in his second start as a Philly throws a no-hitter against the Nationals. We'll get into that. We're going to get the fights, the brawl this week, and we're here for it. Also, managers getting ejected, broadcasters being suspended, and we'll get into some of the fallouts of the last week of baseball, where there's been some teams that are expected to be good that have not played good baseball over the last couple of weeks. We'll do it all coming up next here on Crossing the Line podcast. Yes, what's up, boys? Welcome back once again. We are here, the three of us, myself, Mark Fignani, Mike Davella. First of all, guys, good to be back with you as always. What's going on?
Just and anything. The usual,
which means nothing.
Everything different. So
I don't know about you guys, but it looks like Mark is home. He's in a cozy spot. He got a nice warm hat to keep him looking good, feeling warm. And
don't say it too loud, she's gonna hear you.
And you know what?
I was gonna say,
you know what else?
Have you started leaving your toothbrush there yet? Because then you've moved in.
You don't even have to rush. You can leave a toothbrush at her place.
I might have a toothbrush.
I told you. All right, hold on. So Mark just went silent, and I had no idea what was happening, and I realized I think you were yelling at the dog.
Oh, 100%.
He was yelling at the dog. They chose right as we started to be like, yeah, we're going to fight. We're going to play. Zoomies time.
This dog has been described to us as Gary, but just a little bit longer.
Gary,
and that is the third innuendo that I've used from the Jonas Brothers. We went from red dress, which was off camera, to me just quoting toothbrush by what's Joe Jonas's band? I don't even know what their name is. And that was the all night a little bit longer. It was one of their albums, I think.
Bro, you spoke English words there. I know that words were said, but I didn't comprehend anything you just said.
Is it breaking up for you too, or am I just
no?
Speaking
it's not
stupidly?
Breaking up. You're speaking in tongues when it comes to the Jonas Brothers.
You say that as if you're too cool for the Joe Bros, and we all know you used to live for the Joe Bros, Tyler.
I will give Tyler a pass because there hasn't necessarily been a heavy metal version of a Jonas Brothers song that's taken off yet. We need our worlds to collide, and I am all for it. So if there's a metal band out there that wants to cover the Jonas Brothers for the sake of bringing Crossing the Line crew together, do it.
It's not even that. You guys have to remember, even with the fact that I'm only slightly older than the rest of you, that little age gap changes your whole like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon viewership. So
that's fair.
There are certain shows that, like, especially for me and Mike, me and you, Mark, not so much because it's very minimal. But me and Mike specifically, show Mark, you and I may have been invested in that Mike was like, yeah, I have no idea. And by the time Mike got into certain shows, we were out of the kids TV stuff.
I was just like,
you and I are only a couple months. Yeah, we're only a couple months, but you and I and Mike are significantly, and again, it's only 2 years, but
I'm very curious because I agree with you.
It's a lot.
I agree with you both, but I do want to know like where that drop off is. Like, let's talk about it. Like, what do you think? What do you think are some of the shows that you missed out on from my generation and vice versa that I missed out on from you guys? Because again, it's only a 2-year gap. However,
so
that can always be that difference in.
So you've got to find the shows that were kind of tailing off when we were at the age to watch them and you were too young. So like the All That's and the Keenan and Kells, like I know you know them, but it wasn't your thing. And then like with cartoons,
Right.
you're looking at probably like I know you know Rocket Power, but it wasn't
Love Rocket Power.
it wasn't your shows per se, right? And then
Oh,
I'm
it
sure
was.
that there are things
Rocket Power for me was.
I'm sure
all
there's
that.
shows that you
Love Rocket Power. With a
okay.
pack.
So you're right. You and I, Mark, Rocket Power is you and me. But like that's our like 92 to like 94, 95 is like a heavy Rocket Power age group. Whereas Mike, you're a couple years after that. It might be
I'm a big
I gotta say
Rocket
this,
Power.
I think Mike's a shooty.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Your age might be a little bit.
I may be so I'm again, this might be treading on some because my fiance is 96. But I do think that the gap, like I watched a lot of the older shows. Like the one that I will say is like I did not get as much, like I watched all that, but I didn't get as much into it because it was a little bit older. I was more into the Amanda Show, which was kind of what happened as a result of
the spinoff, right?
The success of that show. But that being said, I feel like for me, I gravitated towards the early 90s, even some that, and like for instance, I'm watching Boy Meets World over again for the third time right now. That's my like show of choice at the end of the night. Great show.
That's money. Boy Meets World is like that's not even a guilty pleasure. That's just.
Can I be honest with you guys with that show?
How'd you do it?
I didn't watch it as a kid. I watched it for the first time in full at probably 24, 25.
I love it. What did you think of the show?
Did Bridget make you watch that?
I mean, listen, I there were times where I'm like, all right, I get why like this was geared towards, a younger audience, but as the show ages, the show matures a little bit, right? It's not like middle school and high school drama. It becomes like they're adults. So you start, even as an adult, you start to pick up thematically, with them as they get a little bit older.
Absolutely. I honestly think
I did like
it's a totally different show.
Yeah, 100%. Plus Topanga got way hotter, so.
Topanga. He's not saying anything that we're not aware of, but after
But to be honest, that was probably my first ever crush.
Kimberly from Power Rangers.
That's a good one. That's a solid.
Definitely my first crush.
Mine was Hillary Duff.
That's a good. That one is aged like fine wine too.
Yeah. I have to admit, if there was somebody like, can you hear me? I keep losing you guys for a second.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay. So, not to say I was watching Lizzie McGuire on a daily basis.
Sure, you were.
If a friend's sister was watching it, I was not upset if it was on the TV. I'm just putting it out there.
Mike was literally like, okay, Lizzie comes on at 5 o'clock. If I just get home from school, I start my homework early, I can get it really quickly. My mom and dad will be cool with me watching Lizzie McGuire for at least that half an hour slot. We'll be good. I might even catch a rerun beforehand.
So obviously remotes still have them, but you remember, before like you would have the guide on all your TVs, the last button had a much greater function on your remote. Mike would definitely be the guy that would have Lizzie McGuire on, but his last option would be like PTI or Around the Horn, and he'd be like, "No, I'm just kidding. It was just a commercial."
He's like, "What? Well, I was watching Sports Center the whole time."
All right, I want to know. Not that this is the special segment for the day, but just as an impromptu, because this is a sports podcast, of course. So, with that said, what is the girliest show that you guys will admit to watching as kids?
Oh my god, that's tough. I'll be honest. I watched a lot of them. I watched a lot of girly shows.
Let's hear it.
A lot of just good shows.
No judgment. We're in our late 20s now. I mean, come on. This is
Hannah Montana, Lizzie McGuire. I'll be honest.
I was a big Hannah Montana fan as a kid.
I loved Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana was good. Good.
That's So Raven.
I got
a good show.
It's the future I can see. Another one. I'm gonna be honest with you. Powerpuff Girls. Pretty solid cartoon.
I just never got into Powder Puff Girls. I don't know, man. That
It was
just wasn't
good.
one that I got. I don't know, man.
I was a big Kim Possible fan.
Love Kim Possible. Speaking of which, Ron Stoppable, the voice of Ron Stoppable is Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World. Fun fact.
It all comes full circle.
It does.
Speaking of Hillary Duff, I was going to ask you guys: have you watched the How I Met Your Mother spinoff?
It
How
is
I Met Your Father.
brutal.
Terrible.
It's not great.
It's bad.
Not great.
I mean, I watch
Three
it because
episodes
she's
of
on
that.
it, and Josh Peck is in it for whatever reason, but it is not good.
Disney's Who's Who.
I'm sorry, Hillary. We
Oh.
still love you,
Drake
but it is just
but your
bad.
show's not good.
it's bad.
Tyler, take us.
All right.
Take it again.
After a version from what we were going to talk about, let's get back into
For
baseball. We have a lot to talk about in Major League Baseball this week because there was a brawl. Like, and I don't mean pushing and shoving. I mean, they squared up, and the umpire, quite frankly, the umpire's credit, they got out of the way and let them square up. Tim Anderson of the White Sox, Jose Ramirez of the Guardians. It was a weird play because I don't know about you guys, but I went back and watched. I've watched it 1,000 times, right? I'm looking for angles. I'm looking for, did Tim Anderson get a good punch in before he got clocked? Because Jose Ramirez was falling backwards. I don't know if that was even necessarily a connector punch, but he landed and he hit him hard. But I'm watching that play develop, and Ramirez slides, and Tim Anderson kind of hangs over top of him, and then Ramirez gets up and gets mouthy, and Tim Anderson fires back at him and gets mouthy, and then all of a sudden, it's not, like I said, it wasn't pushing and shoving. They were literally, the fist came up fast in this.
It was, first off, the radio announcer that did it, and he did it like it was boxing, was amazing. And they dropped the gloves, and they squared up. I'm like, all right, this is perfect. This is
that was that guy's tryout
Anderson
for HBO boxing.
The best part is, have you ever so Jose Ramirez before every game, like down the left field line, goes through like a boxing warm-up.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it's hilarious that actually ended up happening. And apparently I've heard that the White Sox are imploding as an organization anyway, so that's kind of perfect that this happened. Tim Anderson's going to not be on the by next year. Well, but I have a strong thought on this one.
Go ahead.
I think whoever wins the fight gets to stay and they don't get suspended.
Bro, I've been saying that for years. I 100% agree with you.
Make it like hockey.
If you win the fight, especially if you are not the one that instigates the fight.
Especially
so, like, Mark,
if you are on Tyler Zuli's fantasy baseball team, you should not get suspended for winning the fight.
Hey, look, my pitching's carrying me to a stellar 9-8 record right now. But I have said that for years, Mark. I 100% agree with you, especially if you're not the one that instigates it. Now, in this particular instance, I guess I would lean Tim Anderson started it, but Jose Ramirez got mouthy.
The moment
so
that
I
Tim
don't know.
dropped his glove, you're like, all right, well, he instigated it. It's him. It's the same
1,000%.
thing in hockey. So if you're in hockey,
so if you're looking
you drop
for
your gloves and he doesn't, who gets the penalty?
the guy who instigates.
Exactly.
Right. So I guess in that scenario, Tim Anderson technically started it, right? But like
he didn't end it. I know that.
It was gonna be a fight. The minute the minute those two guys got up, it was gonna be a fight. And if you don't instigate the fight and you win the fight, there should be no. If you lose the fight, it's suspended. It's like it's a risk you're taking. You know what I mean? It's like you take a shot.
And that's the risk that I think they wouldn't take it often, but every now and then, instead of seeing just a stupid benches clearing pushing match, we'd actually like kind of see a fight. Am I saying that we should instigate these fights so the kids see it? No. Am I saying it would be awesome? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me get even closer to the camera and tell you, I am all for that.
Listen, I'm against it. I'm against it. I'm so for it. It's crazy.
Let me get my my entire vocal cords on top of my mic, my camera, and you can just see down my throat as I say this.
But I need to be honest. I need to be brutally honest about this. I don't blame either of those guys. You know, there's a guy who I Pepe Sylvia'd into the #1 suspect list, and it's not Tim Anderson, and it's not Jose Ramirez. It's the guy who was playing on the other side of second base during this play. And the same guy who also was playing on the other side of second base for the Rugnet Odor fight. His name is Elvis Andrus.
You're about to
First
tell
and
me
foremost,
Elvis Andrews just a problem.
Is
how
Elvis
the hell
Andrus
is this guy still in the majors right now? Isn't he
Can we
like a
acknowledge that
billion years old?
He is old.
he had the best seat in the house to both of like the best MLB fights in like 15 years.
Which is why I don't know
Elvis
that he wasn't involved in this. There's got to be a little bit of a.
He's a sleeper agent for MMA. MMA is trying to infiltrate Major League Baseball.
Can we
He's
also
like-
acknowledge that Jimenez is so injury prone that he got injured in that like scuffle? You see him coming out like limping. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way he got injured in this.
So you bring up the Odor and the Bautista fight, and the only thing in between these two fights that even remotely got close. Do you guys remember when Amir Garrett tried to take on the entire Pirates organization by himself?
Oh, that was
I
incredible.
mean,
You know, at
listen,
the time,
that was one of the ballsiest things I've ever seen. Where he said, "Let me unbutton my jersey, bring it on. Anybody that wants these hands can catch them in this moment." Because he was so fired up like that. But that's the closest thing we've had since the Bautista Odor fight.
Honestly, and I think it was pretty ballsy of him to do it. But he also sprinted at their dugout and said, "All right, we're gonna do it. I'm coming at you. Let's go."
Who
He's
wants
ready
these
to
hands?
roll.
I can say the amount of times I was pitching and wanted to do that is astronomical. So the point that I got to see someone else actually like live my dream. I'm super
Did you
jealous.
guys ever get in a fight in Little League?
No, but in men's
Not
league,
in
there was
Little
at least like 3 or 4 benches clearing brawls I almost got in.
Men's
Oh.
league
There was
got
then
bad.
like being pushing and then fighting with the spectators. I was like, what? I don't understand. Why are we fighting with the fans through the fence? What's going on? Like,
We
what does
got in
that
one fight
99-year-old dude have to say?
when I was in it. When we got, it wasn't Little League, but it was like when you got to the bigger field.
Like
That
like
first year,
a Babe Ruth, like a Babe
kind of,
thing.
Minor league.
kind of, yeah.
Call it whatever.
The first year, we were the Dodgers, but we were so bad. Like we weren't bad, but we were like just a bunch of guys who absolutely did not give a shit. And we called ourselves the Bogers because someone wrote it wrong and it was like written like that. So we're like, oh, we're the Bogers. And we just had like the two bullies that were like your guys' age, 2 years older than me, were both on our team and would just instigate the whole time. And I was
Love
pitching
that.
once and we got in a all-out benches clearing brawl. And it was awesome. It was so much fun.
I'm like imagining like a bunch of 10-year-olds and a couple 12-year-olds. And then
No,
just-
we were like, no, this was the bigger league. It was like we were in
15.
freshman year of high school. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was like freshman through junior year of high school. That was like the demographic.
So there were just hormones all over that field.
Just ready to throw down with anybody or anything that moved.
Ready to fight.
Fighting trash cans.
Teenage
Fight
angst on the
Iowa.
diamond. The Astros weren't there though, so there were no trash cans to be fought.
So this brings up this fight, by the way, was like not to the day, but very close after it to the anniversary of the stupidest fight in the history of baseball. And I often like to remind people that no matter what you are not as stupid as Robin Ventura, who for some inexplicable reason decided to charge the mound of all people to fight Nolan Ryan. Like there's like if I were a Major League Baseball player and I was built like a Major League Baseball player and strong like a Major League Baseball player, over the course of baseball's existence, there are a handful of guys that I would not want to fight. And probably right at the top of that list is Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan was so angry for no reason already. So
You
he was
didn't
like,
need to give him a
fight
reason
you.
to be pissed off.
He would fight you just for like being too ugly on his field. Like and you could be on his team probably. He'd be like, you know what, man? I just don't even like the way you wear your uniform. I'm gonna punch you. You're done. Like
Literally scene from Step
You're
Brothers.
done.
I don't like your face. Fix
can I change it?
Fix your
No.
face.
There's nothing you can do. I'm just gonna have to fight you every day. Like it's terrible. And you who would fight Nolan Ryan of all people?
Apparently, Robin Ventura.
Did you hear in the White Sox? Apparently, Grandal's saying this is all cap. It's all a lie. but apparently he got in a fight with him, and he literally just went over and slapped TA in the face.
I did hear that.
First off, bitch. Secondarily, honestly, if somebody didn't want to be there, I'd have the same thing as Tim Anderson.
I would have been pissed.
Okay, I will buy your flight home. I don't care about you.
I agree with you. I would have been pissed if I were in that same situation. It's like, listen, I know we suck. I know we're struggling. This is your job, right? Like, think about it that way. Everybody gets PTO, right? In real life, you don't get that scenario unless you have like bereavement or paternity or whatever it might be. You don't get that scenario in professional sports. The season is what the season
We're making
is.
millions of dollars. So.
Well, that too. But I mean, I would be pissed off at a teammate in, men's league if they were like, boys, screw you guys. I'd be like, dude, what the hell, man? Come on.
Also in men's league, we just said the same thing. All right, get out. Yeah. If they didn't,
don't show up.
Okay, the whole team's about to fight, and you'd see like the scene in Major League where they're just all fighting each other. Like that would be what happened.
Sure.
So I want to pose a question to you guys. What'd you say?
No, you go ahead, Mike.
No, I didn't hear what your question was. I want to hear yours first.
Oh, I said, have you guys ever been thrown out of a game before?
One time, and it wasn't for fighting. It was self-inflicted.
I have not.
I think I need more information on that, Tyler.
It was just being angry, and so I was struggling. I was probably like 17 or 18, and it made it worse because my dad was the coach of the team, and so it was like a really awkward car ride home. But I was like 17. I was high school, whatever, summer ball, and just in the middle of a rough stretch of like 2 weeks of just I was grounding out everything. I was just struggling. And so first inning, I'm getting pushed down the lineup. I was hitting 2, then I was hitting 5, then I'm hitting 7. As good. And I ground out, drop a heavy F-bomb, right? Like and there's kids around, right? Drop an F-bomb, get mad, get ready to toss the helmet. Umpire looks at me and goes, listen, kids here, families here. You do it again, you're tossed. Second at bat comes up, ground ball, same spot, right at the second baseman. Ah! And as soon as I dropped the second F-bomb, I looked at him. I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's like, dude, you're done.
You gotta go.
He's like, I told you, get it. He's like, get out. And it was like, I like sulked to the stands and like sat at the stands the rest of the game. And that was the only time I ever got ejected. That was not the best ejection story, though, that I had from that team, because the assistant coach was one of my best friend's dad. And my best friend got rung up on strikes on a bad pitch. He starts arguing with the umpire, gets ejected. His dad, who was coaching first, storms down the first baseline. He gets ejected. And the two of them are like walking down this community park path to their cars together, like tails between their legs, like a bunch of idiots. The best ejection I've ever seen.
I had a good one.
Guy got a 2-for-1 special.
I'll give you mine. All right. So I've been holding on to this one a little bit.
Let's hear it.
College. It was the year I was doing great this season. And this was like our special doubleheader that we played at the minor league stadium near us. It's the second game of the doubleheader. It's the last inning. I'm up to bat with one out in the game, or 1 out in the inning. And this dude had been terrible. Remember, I was a catcher. So, like, I knew the strike zone. I've been dealing with it all day. It was the second game of a doubleheader. I knew it. He rung me up on 3 pitches that I couldn't have touched. One almost hit me, and the other 2 were literally in the other batter's box. I'm not one to bitch about it normally. I knew the strike zone. I knew when I was wrong. This one I was not wrong about, and he was bad all day. I remember turning, so like the ump's on this side of me. I turn, I just go, man, this is the worst fucking umpire game I've ever been a part of. As I'm walking away,
Diaz turned around and is like, fuck you.
Dude, I got halfway back to the dugout, and I just see like my entire team storming up like the stairs. Like, oh my God, like what's going on? I'm like, what's happening? He's like, you just got thrown out. I go, wait, what? I just got thrown out of the game? I didn't hear him do it. I didn't like see him do it. He did it when I turned. I'm frozen, aren't I?
Yes,
No,
you
you're
are. We
good.
can hear you.
Well,
but you're frozen.
your face is frozen, but we can hear you.
I had no idea it happened. I was angry. So I get back to the dugout. In my head, I'm like, I'm going back. I'm going to get my
Oh,
money's
for
worth.
sure.
The coach wasn't gonna let me, understandably so. And it honestly ended up saving me in the long run because I had to talk to the athletic director. I know it's so bad. I can see my face. I had to talk to the athletic director
Do it, Tyler.
after that game because we had another doubleheader. The next, can we not?
Keep going. You had another
trying to get
doubleheader
through
the
it.
next week. We're sorry.
We had a doubleheader 2 days later, and I go into his office. I go, yeah, and he's like, it was pretty terrible all day long. I'm like, okay, so you're on my side about this. He's like, yeah, but you do have to sit for the first game of the next doubleheader. I go, oh, come on, really? And it was also a
Damn.
4-hour trip doubleheader. I went, really? You're gonna make me sit for the first game after a 4-hour trip in the bus?
That's the worst.
We got mercy ruled in the first game. I pitched the second game through a 2-hitter. And
Hell
I hit
yeah.
a bomb.
Oh, even better.
We won 3-1.
Honestly, I'm glad the fact that you stayed sober through the first game is impressive because I would have started drinking.
Mark
They
definitely
forced-
didn't stay sober.
You can tell it now. The athletic trainer's not going to be listening to or the athletic director's not going to be listening to our podcast.
They forced me to do the game changer, which made me really sad too.
Did you have to run polls or anything?
No, the coach was understanding, surprisingly so, honestly. I'm so upset that this is how my thing is frozen, by the way.
It's all good. I've come to
it's
terms
an
with it. It's hilarious.
It's an interesting look for you. It's not the worst picture you could have because you're kind of smiling, but it also looks like somebody told you to smile and you haven't quite figured out how smiling works yet.
I'm a 7-year-old that doesn't know what pictures are yet. That's what it looks like.
If your eyes were closed, it would just be a perfect picture. I would screenshot it and post it on Twitter.
See, the real question is if
I'm
I
trying to do it.
X out of this Zoom meeting and come back,
Don't do it.
You'll kick the whole meeting, which would be even worse.
Yeah,
If it stays like this, it is the perfect thing that you could possibly. It's not like you're doing anything weird. Your eyes are closed. You're looking this way. It is like you have a picture of you and you're just talking under your
off
voice.
camera, right?
Yeah.
We might have to get a better screenshot of me and put it over top of this.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Can we just put his name at this point?
Marky.
Give me a block.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start with you, Mark, because it's even funnier when you talk under your picture.
Come on.
So my question was gonna be back to the fight. Who is the biggest loser of the Tim Anderson Jose Ramirez fight? So I'll let you guys start. Mark, starting with you, and then Tyler, and then I'll give mine.
Eloy Jimenez for getting injured in the scuffle. Not even a part of it. That or the bullpen that had to run all the way out there for nothing. I think they're always the losers in everyone.
All right, Tyler.
I mean, I think the loser in the situation ends up being Tim Anderson, because for a couple of reasons, right? So you get rocked, right? It happens. You get in a fight, you get rocked. These things happen sometimes. Sometimes you don't win every fight you're in. But on top of getting rocked, you get a larger suspension than what Jose Ramirez got. And now, the last couple of days, you've been on this Twitter tirade. And instead of I saw a tweet the other day that was perfect. Honestly, just own the fact that you got rocked, right? You lost the fight. If you buy into the joke a little bit, eventually this thing will come back around. And it's going to be, hey, remember that time that Tim Anderson got popped while Jose Ramirez was flailing and falling down, right? Nobody's going to remember that it wasn't a clean hit or he didn't, because either the story becomes funny or it grows into this lore of Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson went 10 rounds toe to toe and then Jose Ramirez finally got a good one. Tim Anderson's trying to do damage control, but he's going the wrong way with it. And so with all of that being combined, I think he's probably the loser in this situation.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I do appreciate you taking a serious approach here because my honorable mention would be you because as a fantasy owner, you're out one of your best players for 3 games. But my number one biggest loser in this is Dairy Queen Grill and Chills, because as we all know, Tim Anderson somehow won the #1 meal between his burger, bacon burger, and Blizzard. And now they're going to need to find a new spokesman to promote their Grill and Chills, because Tim Anderson ain't it anymore. Batting .242, he's got 1 home run, and he gets knocked out every once in a while. Mark is back!
He's back.
Yes.
It's like
That was
somebody
great. I mean, listen,
unlocked
it was
his
good- it was a great
character.
picture, though.
I'm really
No
glad
fun. Mark, what would your sound be if you were in Smash Brothers? Like after you pick
punch out.
after you pick the character and they do like their move, it would be like Mark, and then you would have like a sound. What would it be?
Oh, that's so tough. Honestly, because of how much I do it on here, just
That's not bad, actually. It's a good pull.
it's a good one, right?
It's not bad.
But then
I
you'd be
like
like
the
spamming the
rewind.
button. You just be.
Yeah,
Every single
Mark
time.
would just get the controller and just start smashing B. Wouldn't even move.
It's
He
like
would just start.
it's like when you
swinging.
have Captain
Can we not all
Falcon
play that game?
and you just keep doing Falcon punches. Falcon, 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 ball.
Falcon punch.
Unbelievable.
Come, get over here.
So we don't want to fight Mark in a fight on the baseball field. Obviously, for reasons. We don't want to fight Nolan Ryan. Let me ask you guys this. Current players across Major League Baseball. If you had to say that guy is the one guy I don't want to get in a fight with, who would it be?
Honestly, Max Scherzer's a little bit fucking crazy.
Well, he's certifiable, so
He's
He
insane.
scares me a little bit because I think he would also fight dirty. Oh man, that's tough though.
I need to go through this.
Maybe like Ellie De La Cruz, because I just know he's seen some shit too, and he's long. He's so
his
long.
reach would be insane.
I would never get close to him, and he'd be faster than me too. Unfortunately.
Yep.
So like he'd get me with like 4 punches, and I'd be like, "Did he just hit me? What just happened?"
Am I alive? Did I
I'm
die?
on the ground dead. Like
Is this
him and like O'Neal Cruz would probably like team up on me too.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
they're
The
scary.
Cruz brothers.
trying to think
Cruz
I'm trying to think who looks like they've got fighting prowess.
Honestly, I don't want to go with a homer pick because that's where my mind goes. But Nick Castellanos would scare the shit out of me. He's just like his responses in interviews and just his demeanor. He just like takes on that dick persona. Like he's just a dick. I love it because he's a part of our
He's so
team.
Philly, bro.
But he like whenever somebody asks him a question, he'll be like, "Oh, so how did you enjoy being in the All-Star game?" "Well, I played, didn't I?" Like some random like douchey comment. Like that he's got a temper. And if he got provoked to a certain degree and you had to get in a fight with him, I don't want to be on the receiving end. He's a big guy, definitely got a temper, and he would fuck you up.
I am super proud of both of you for not stooping to like a lowbrow answer.
Thank you. I had every one of them in my head, but I think I'm been doing better lately.
I'm really, really impressed. So here's the guy that one of the guys he seems like the nicest guy on the planet, but because he's good at everything, I just assume that Shohei Ohtani can fight too.
I thought about him
Because he's good at everything, right?
And
Like
he's big guy.
and he's a big, strong dude. Like I just assume that there's nothing he's bad at, right? Like I assume that like you challenge him to skee ball and he's incredible. He's a great video game player. He's probably a marksman archer. Like just that, like those. He just seems like the guy that picks stuff up and is good at it. Like Steph Curry is that way too, but he's little, so he wouldn't bother me as much. But like Shohei Ohtani definitely could. He's the kind of guy that would just like immediately be good at everything, which includes fighting.
That's honestly.
I honestly didn't even think about it until you just mentioned all this, but I completely forgot about Luis Robert. That guy is big. What's he got to be,
His
225?
His forearms are larger than my biceps and shoulders.
Correct.
I would say
Correct.
any one of those guys that came from the DR, they're probably terrifying because they probably also had to deal with like gang members and like betting on their games. And like Jose Ramirez, literally, there's a story that he used to run home from games because he was being chased by like gang members.
That's crazy.
Not the guy I want to get in a fight with.
Certainly not.
All right, so we've been on this fight thing for a while. Let's move from fights to suspensions, as the Orioles have been in some hot water the last couple of days, and the ownership group specifically, because Kevin Brown, who I've heard nothing but good. I don't know the guy. I don't listen to Orioles broadcasts all that frequently, but I've heard nothing but good things from other broadcasters, from Orioles fans. Was suspended for stating facts. Right? Like, there are opinion-based broadcasts, and there are fact-based broadcasts. This is an opinion-based podcast.
100%.
And I don't even know if we have opinions. We might just be stupid. What Kevin Brown did in the open against the Tampa Bay Rays was lay out the fact that the Orioles have struggled at Tropicana Field against the Rays over the last couple of seasons, and did it with a graphic that was created by the graphics department of that broadcast.
It confused me so much. How many times during a broadcast back in like Penn State did you sit there and say, hey, Penn State has struggled in third downs against this team all year, or like, historically? It's just a fact. It's a fact.
It's painting the picture too, and it's showing you what the significance of, well, they've already won the series. I guess they were winning 2 of 3 games, or it was 4-game series. They have a chance to win the series for the first time in like a while. Yep. But you bring up a great point, Mark. When we go back to our Penn State days, we were part of a subsidiary that didn't have anything to do with Penn State athletics. But when you would talk to people that worked for Go PSU Sports or something, they couldn't write a negative article. If Christian Hackenberg threw 4 interceptions and he didn't have a good game, they needed to find a positive spin. Like, Christian Hackenberg still breaks this record for a freshman. Like, it's like, no, right. That's not, you're trying to spin a narrative in a positive light because you're part of this entity. If the Orioles are really going to take that approach, they got a lot to learn because they finally got a good team. They're going to be a prominent franchise for a while. And if they're not able to handle their shit, then it's going to be on the national stage, and the actions that they're putting out there are going to just make other fan bases and baseball fans in general gravitate away from what their product is.
It's crazy how many times I went back in that broadcast and like listened to like the 15 minutes before and after, like looking for what the real problem was. And then I realized it's like they just didn't want a negative spin on anything. And it was barely negative. He was literally kind of saying like, hey, we used to suck. We're actually pretty good this year. This is awesome. That's low-key what he said.
I will say, you bring up the Penn State angle, which is applicable for all of us. Even if Jack were here, it's applicable for all of us. The one professional at Penn State that I thought always did a really good job of telling the story as it was, even if it had a Penn State spin, it wasn't overtly biased or overtly homer if it was bad. I think Steve Jones is amongst the best in college football. And I don't know if you guys had podcasting class with him or not, but for those that don't know, Steve Jones is the voice of the Penn State Nittany Lion football team and basketball team. And one of the things that he hammered home was like, if you are doing a play-by-play broadcast, even for a organization, like for the organization's network, you have a responsibility to tell the story. You're not a print journalist where you're just always saying fact, 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 fact. You are sprinkling in anecdotes. You're sprinkling in past stories. You're telling jokes. Because you are entertainment. You're not just a journalist. But the one thing that he always hammered home that I always appreciated was, if your team's not playing well, your team's not playing well. That's what it is. That's the story. Your team stinks today. They're getting no hit. They're getting no hit. Oh, it wasn't, well, Nick Castellanos had a nice at bat. They got no hit. You know what I mean? So right. I always appreciated that when you get broadcasters that, even if they work for an entity, understand the levity of the situation.
Can you like imagine like during the process of the Sixers, if like their announcers the whole time are saying like, yeah, we're actually pretty good though. Like, it's fine. Like, we're going to be completely fine. No, I don't want to hear that. I'm a Philly fan. I understand. This is the shit. I'm going through the shit right now. We're going
Those
to be
8
fine on
points from Tony Roten were sick.
Yeah, like no. Like I don't know. I would rather the facts and the story than sitting there and just like painting this pretty picture that's not true. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Well,
Like,
Right.
the one
I don't
thing now that the Orioles do have a cool opportunity to do is with Kevin Brown suspended, they need to replace him somehow. So maybe they should bring in somebody who prides himself and thinks of himself as a man of faith, as there's a deep drive by Castellanos and Tom Brenneman needs a job, guys. Come on.
No.
I,
No.
I do hear that
No.
they're bringing it back. Don't worry, they're bringing it back.
The
I think you know what the best part of this whole thing has been?
Yes, well, tell
Best part
us.
has been all of the other announcers
Yep.
like very subtly like just like jabbing at Baltimore's ownership. Like, yeah,
Well,
like
you could say subtle because there have been subtleties. Gary Cohen wasn't subtle about it.
no, he was
Gary Cohen of the Mets broadcast basically said, "You're a bunch of morons, and you're humiliating yourself and your fan base by allowing this to happen." Listen, Camden Yards is getting packed again. Mike, you brought this up. They're a fun, young team that probably should be in like year 0 of the upward swing, and they're outproducing expectations. Rutschman's going to be the best catcher in baseball soon if he's not already. They've got a really nice young nucleus with a bunch of guys that are even the older guys like Cedric Mullins and Ryan Mountcastle aren't old. They're just veterans on that team. They have a team that's going to be productive and consistent for quite some time, despite the fact that they're like 26th in payroll across Major League Baseball. This is a cheap organization that has an opportunity to really shed good light on itself, and it's miring itself in stupidity by saying, well, because he brought up stats, we don't like that on our broadcast, and we think that he should be suspended.
and have you ever been to a game at Camden Yards?
It's one of the greatest stadiums in sports.
It's electric, honestly. When you go there, it's electric. It's a great it's got the baseball feel to it. So when they're jumping and they're doing well, that's incredible for them. And not just them, but the whole city is like happy. Like, and Baltimore, not a happy city. Let's be honest. If you've ever been to Baltimore, it's not exactly like, sunshines and rainbows there. And
Baltimore and Philly are very similar. We talked about this. We were talking about accents at work and how the Baltimore and Philly accents pretty, they overlap to an extent. And I don't think the similarities stop in accents, right? Similarities about Philly and Baltimore are pretty acute. Like it's hardworking people, everyday people who kind of view themselves as underdogs a little bit. And I think that there is a reason that a lot of Phillies fans gravitate towards the Orioles when they're good. It's because they understand what it's like to be a fan of a team that you ride and die with. I think that there's a lot of Ravens fans. Like you say that what's my AFC team, right? A lot of Philadelphia fans will say, a lot of Eagles fans will say, oh, I like the Ravens. What's your AL team? Oh, I like the Orioles. Because Philly and Baltimore are very similar.
You obviously didn't grow up where I grew up. I hate
really?
The Ravens. I do like the Orioles. I hate the Ravens because the Ravens fans are the worst. The Steelers fans were bad. The Steelers fans were bad. But I also remember I grew up in like South Central Pennsylvania, where you could be a Steelers fan, you could be a Ravens fan, or you could be a Philly fan. If you were a Philly fan, you were alienated for some reason. If you were a Pittsburgh fan, everybody loved you. You were incredible. You were the best. We have 7 rings. We're the best. We're so cool. If you were a Ravens fan, you were like the worst kind of person because it was like being a Lakers fan. You love them when they're good, and you're not a fan when they're bad.
Interesting. I didn't think it would be that way.
Maybe it was just where I grew up, and I got like it was the same deal. Like everybody liked Notre Dame for some reason when I grew up.
That fandom is stupid.
I hate that fandom. And then they were always like, well, you either like Notre Dame or Penn State. I'm like, why? They don't even like play each other ever.
Notre Dame is in fucking Illinois. It's not here.
You're in South Central Pennsylvania.
Indiana.
We have our closest thing is we have battlefields near us. Like, come on, bro. What are we talking about here?
What I tried to say was that it's in fucking Bumblefuck. Well, Penn State is also in Bumblefuck. It's a lot closer.
Yeah, I was gonna say
than
Penn State's
Notre
not
Dame.
exactly a booming urban environment by any means.
Baltimore
I can't wait for
fans
Eddie to
perplex me simply because I do have that first instinct that you mentioned, Tyler, to just find the similarities and be like, well, you're not a threat to me. The Orioles are not a direct rival. The Ravens are not a direct rival. However, there's always this little like back and forth elitism going on. For whatever reason, my experience, anytime I come across a fan who loves the Ravens, the Orioles obviously haven't been relevant in a while, so it's kind of been newer. But that being said, I just feel like there's always this attempt to kind of like degrade the other. Like, oh, you're not shit. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like
it's fair. I mean, maybe it's
it doesn't
more
make
just
sense.
me. Maybe it's just a me thing where I am
lesser of two
pulled,
evils.
I'm pulled in so many directions as a fan, and it's not just Philly, but we're like psychotic about rivalries. I'm pulled in so many directions that hold my attention. New York, Pittsburgh, DC, like there's so Baltimore to me almost feels like a safe space on a game, like a board game, right? Like you're playing a board game and like you could get you get jumped, like Sorry or something like that. Like Baltimore feels like the safe space.
Yeah.
Where like I don't hate Baltimore. It's a stupid analogy. It's the first thing that came to my head.
No, it makes sense.
It's Charm City, baby. They chirping out there, you know?
Oh dear God. That's what I don't like about Baltimore, though, and that's what you're saying, and so do what. You know what? We don't need to get into the semantics, but the problem is that that's what you get. But at the same time, Tyler, you're not going to like when I go to New York City and I see somebody in a Giants shirt or hat or anything, I'm pissed off.
Grosses,
fuck you. You piss me off. What's wrong with you? Even though they're in their city, it's their right. They're a fan of the team. Makes total sense. When you go to Baltimore, you see somebody in a Ravens shirt, you're not perturbed by it because it's not a rival. So that's where you have that safe space where it's like, all right, well, I'm not going to get shit on for wearing Eagles shirt.
It would be like going to Milwaukee and being like, why are you wearing a Bucks shirt? Why are you wearing a Brewer shirt? Well, because it's their hometown. But I wonder if the relative closeness of the location makes it a little bit different.
Right.
Or because people, right? Like I know, like, I don't know, 2 Brewers fans in my whole existence, just because I'm not from the Midwest. I don't have family in the Midwest. I don't have a ton of friends that are from the Midwest originally. So maybe it's just because of location and proximity. But the Orioles and Ravens fans that I know have a very similar mindset to the Philadelphia fans that I know.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know a single Brewers fan. Even like I went to the Brewers Braves game and I only went because my girlfriend really likes Christian Yelich, which made me feel a little bit weird, but it was okay. I dealt with it.
Ellie.
He looks like Pete Davidson. Can we get through that? No, we're not going to talk about him. We're not talking about him. I've already had this conversation. I've had this debate. I know I'm right.
Vignani after hours, the therapy session.
No, all right, this seems like a good time to sound the buzzer.
Special segment time. It's Mark's turn.
We haven't had a special segment in quite some time, man. Mark, you are up. This show has been something. I never thought that Jack was the one that kept us all in check. I always thought it was me, but apparently it's not.
I think you took the night off.
Just talks about sports, and we get tangent out.
I'm just gonna put Mark, all 3 of our screens with Mark's screenshot of him from earlier.
Well, hold on. Can we throw Mike under the bus for a second? Our amazing producer of the show.
All right. I made one mistake in the history of the editing of the show.
I'm going to preface this by saying Mike and Jack do 99.9% of our editing and production work because they're very good at it. Like, I'm going to give you credit, and then I'm going to throw you under the bus. You're very good at what you do. Sometimes. But last week, we have the show out for like 3 days, and then I was watching it back, and my wife goes, that's not Jack. And I went, what? Of course, Oh, so Mark's name was under Jack's body and vice versa. So I brought it up to the guys, and then Mark goes, "Yeah, I noticed that a couple days ago." We're like, "Mark, why didn't you say anything?"
We
Mark
already
enjoyed
had
being Jack.
views on it. I wasn't gonna ruin the views, and there was a comment on there. Come on, man. Like I already egged somebody else. Don't worry, Eddie's gonna comment on this one because I've been shitting on Baltimore a little bit. So I egged somebody into a comment for this one. Don't mess up the editing here, Mike.
I promise I won't. But I know you enjoyed being Jack for a day because he has 469 followers on Twitter. Nice.
Honestly, it was huge for me. It was huge.
No, I think it was your guys' fault because normally you come on last, and the way that I have everything edited is that on our Zoom call, surprise, surprise, that's how we record. You usually are on my right, but you're on the left. So when I put everything in, everything was already set up in the wrong way. But
sounds like
I'll take responsibility for that.
Anyway, it's segment time.
So I got your special segment. I just thought of this really like 5 minutes ago. And when I say that, I mean 35 minutes ago because now I'm realizing what time it is.
We've been on for quite some time.
All right. So you go to a baseball game, right? You go to the snack shack area. What is your order? What are you getting? What's like your go-to?
Oh,
First off, I can give you mine if it helps. If you want to think about it.
I already thought about it. I already thought about it, but I'm just trying to figure out like particulars. Like,
let me ask you two questions. Are you going to a specific ballpark, or is it just like
I thought Little League.
Generic ballpark?
See, that's the part of it. I was thinking like specific ballparks like MLB, but that's what kind of makes me realize like what I would want.
Right. Or are we going to the Little League snack stand where they have like the basic stuff?
I think we should do both because I have an answer for each. So if either one of you guys want to take a second to think about it, go for it. But I'm ready to roll.
Like you got to go then because I got to think of
Little League was easy. Took me back. So first of all, always a blue Gatorade. We were either Cool Blue or the Glacier Freeze. I really don't care. Debate your mom. I'm going with either of them as long as it's a blue Gatorade. Then we're going with Big League Chew. Also, can't really go wrong, but I'll probably go with the sour apple because it just made me feel like I was on edge. And then they had burgers at the snack bar that I went to as a kid, so we're getting a burger, potentially a pretzel too if I'm feeling it. And then last but not least, cherry on top is actually I'll probably get some sunflower seeds because addict, and cherry on top is a Nerd's Rope.
Mike, how much money did you have as a kid?
Also, what Little League snack shack? Because why are they so well prepared?
I would show up to Ben Salem snack shop with maybe $3.
Let's just say my mom worked the snack bar.
That makes so much sense.
So you're a scumbag is what you're saying. Okay, all right.
Yes, correct. So that is my order as a kid. Then we go to, and to be honest with you, I'm only going to come up with my Citizens Bank Park order because I feel like every other stadium that I go to is just the derpiest food ever. Like if I go to the Rays Stadium, I'm getting like popcorn because there's nothing good. I'm getting a Tony Luke's cheesesteak most of the time. I'm getting crab fries, and I am getting a bag of peanuts, and I'm getting a seltzer because I can't drink beer anymore. But I'm getting hammered. I'm eating probably one, maybe two bags of peanuts. And if you think I'm not getting a cheesesteak while I'm down at the complex, you're wrong.
I'm getting a cheesesteak, yeah, man.
Dude, I'm getting Tony Luke's every day.
I just wish D'Alessandro's was there, you know?
Dude, D'Alessandro's would be sick.
All right,
I think they did have Dallas. Didn't they have D'Alessandro's once in a while? Once upon a time ago. They had some, or maybe it was Geno's or something. They had a different one in the park when it first opened. Or maybe Pat's. I don't remember. I have to look that up.
I think it was Geno's was there for a little bit, and then Tony Luke's took over. I think. But if we're going CBP, then I would obviously go with a cheesesteak. But if I go anywhere else, I'm getting whatever they got best, right? So like here in Atlanta, I'm just going to get a cheeseburger because nothing else they really have is incredible. I'm getting 2 beers because I'm not walking back up there, all right?
Smart.
I'm going to have 2 and I'm going to double fist bad boys because that's going to be my 7th and 8th beer of the night probably.
Thank you for your service.
And then you got to get fries. If you don't get fries, but if I'm at CBP, it is crab fries. You're not wrong about that. And early in the game, I might get some popcorn. Now, Little League, this is where it actually gets a little bit fun, I think, now. You got to do a dog because you know that like Jimmy's dad was in the back on that like grill, and it was always a grill that like you're like that still works. I can't believe that grill still works. It was always one of those, right? You know, he's been slaving on that thing the entire game. He doesn't care if Jimmy hits 4 for 4 or if he goes over 4 because he's not watching the game anyway. His kid's playing right field, picking dandelions and
he's
boogers,
playing
and that's
grill.
all he's doing. But he's gonna grill up those dogs, and they're gonna be perfect. I'm gonna get a dog. I'm gonna get 2 airheads because you already know there's a 50-cent deal on those bad boys.
Damn,
Mystery flavor.
And then,
dude, that's a great pick.
They're always gonna be solid. I know. Honestly, you said the seeds, but I'm gonna already have the seeds with me.
It depends if I'm playing or I'm just watching.
That's true. I'm probably getting the seeds at Wawa.
If I'm just watching, I don't have seeds. If I'm playing, always have seeds.
You know what the real problem's been lately? Because I've been coaching, right? But a lot of fields we coach at are turf fields, and they literally have giant signs saying no sunflower seeds. I'm like, and this isn't
fight
baseball, all right? I'm not gonna be here anymore.
You're sick.
No, I'm still.
You're sick.
You understand? I'm not here for the game.
I don't care about these kids.
I'm here for the camaraderie and the seeds.
I'm here for the goddamn lifestyle. You better believe I'm bringing my
slushy
seeds
after the game.
I'm here to hopefully get kicked out of a 13-year-old baseball game. All right, that's what I'm here for.
That could be
you ever sent somebody to mandated therapy before? Now's your chance.
No, that's what I did in the podcast. We're good.
Why did you go to therapy? Because I couldn't eat seeds on the turf.
It said no metal cleats either. Like I was gonna not wear my metal cleats here. Come on, I'm coaching. I gotta.
What's next? They're not gonna let you use composite bats.
Nah, my parents have way too much money. There's so much composite bats.
Unbelievable. Well,
damn, I really want a cheesesteak. Thanks, guys.
All
right,
yes,
Tyler.
So do I.
All right, so I'm gonna tell you off the bat. If I'm going down to the ballpark, I'm eating beforehand.
It's okay to be wrong.
Because for the most part, ballpark food's not good.
Fair.
It's mass produced food. Like some of it's all right, but I'm getting a bucket of crab fries at Chicky and Pete's. No cheese because their cheese is gross at the ballpark.
It's okay to be wrong. That's fine.
That's a Tyler take. That's a Tyler take, but we'll allow it.
Just at the ballpark. If you get it at the restaurant, it's fine.
It is much better. Of course.
The cup is gross. It's been sitting around forever. Now, with that being said, my answer to the snack stand is going to be hypocritical, but we'll get there in a sec. I am also getting 2 beers. You're right, Mark.
Sorry.
Even on a hot day, I'm getting 2 beers, and I'm getting 2 specific beers.
Oh, let's hear it.
My wife has actually got me into this being like in my brain. Like if she Pavlov's dogged it into my brain that when we go down to the ballpark, we get line and coupons.
Hell yeah,
dude! Honestly,
Shandy.
That's such a good.
It's
a great Shandy at the ballpark. You're wrong.
Great ballpark.
Shandy's.
Beer.
You guys, you got all right. We have to. I don't know when this is going to happen. It may not be next year. One of these years, because Crossing the Line will be around for years to come. I would love to do an in-person show, and we frame it around our golf tournament. We have the golf tournament in Orlando. We could go to Disney for a day or two, but we're going to a Philly spring training game. And we're getting summer Shandy baseball bats, filling up the baseball bat with Shandy, sitting there watching the Phils with no strings attached. It is a great time and needs to happen.
I think we already know with me and Jack there, though, it's going to be how many of these bats and how fast can you drink them?
And when does Dizzy Bat Race begin?
Another reason why I want it to happen.
Yeah, I've never been to Disney, so if you guys want to be like better than my parents, just take me to Disney. They didn't love me. They didn't do that.
That's
and they
the
also
threshold.
Didn't give me a Build-A-Bear because they fucking hated me.
We love you, Mr. and Mrs. Fagnani. Don't let your son talk poor about you.
Dude,
so, Mark, what you're saying is if I buy you a Build-A-Bear, is it better if I buy you a Build-A-Bear or if I take you to Build-A-Bear?
You need to take me there so I can build my own bear.
Okay.
Are you? What kind of bear are you building? You get a Philly Fanatic Build-A-Bear?
I don't know. You got to get me in there. I've never been inside the Build-A-Bear. They didn't let me in. They said it was too expensive. And you know what?
No marks allowed.
I found out the Build-A-Bear is not that expensive. All right. In the years since, it's like what, $20 to get a Build-A-Bear? You know
but
what,
it's
Mom?
like
you know
drugs for kids. You get one, you want 10.
1877 drugs
cars for kids.
Anyway, you're
don't do Build-A-Bears, children.
I'm probably eating beforehand, and I'm just drinking at the ballpark, to be quite honest. At Little League, though, and this is where the hypocrisy comes in, I'm getting the nachos, and all they are is chips in a bag
Oh.
and plastic cheese. And
Yep.
I'm getting the nachos every time.
I wish I thought of that one.
You guys had two great answers. Airheads for sure. 2 for 50
Airheads
cents.
was a great
And
idea.
I'm getting Big League Chew, and I'm absolutely getting Sour Apple. And it's the best 30 seconds of flavor ever.
It's not the best one though.
If you
But for the first 30 seconds, it
tell
is.
me grape, I'm booting you from this podcast.
He was gonna say grape. He was.
Get out. And then probably just probably probably a Gatorade. Some semblance of
you gotta do a
Gatorade.
Gatorade, or maybe
anything but orange Gatorade. Don't like orange Gatorade.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't really like
But
orange
yellow's
Gatorade
cool,
either.
red's cool, both blues. Anything but orange.
Hear me
Even the
out. I was at
purple one.
the thing the other day where they had Gatorade there, and I was like, "Oh yeah, give me a blue Gatorade." You know what was really messed up? The only Gatorades they had were the zeros. All
That's
right,
They're
bullshit.
not bad.
They're not going to
bad.
solve
They're not
obesity
bad.
with Gatorade Zero, okay? You're
If
not
I'm
going to
trying
take
get a
away my
Gatorade at a
favorite Gatorade.
game, I don't want a zero.
I
want
have-
calories, all right, I'm here for the calories.
I've got a Gatorade story
All
for you
sugar.
real
Carbs,
fast.
you know?
And this is really just a Mike being upset story because it didn't go my way. But a couple weeks ago, so first of all, shout out my cousin Madeline just got accepted. She got a scholarship for golf to IMG Academy. Everybody knows IMG, incredible school. But because they are such a powerhouse of high school athletes and everything like that, she had a camp. So this is how she got the scholarship. I took her down to the camp, and their whole campus is basically like sponsored by Gatorade. And there were all these giant, like, they looked like cyber trucks. They were basically like these big things of Gatorade. And I was like, holy shit, this is like the Mecca. They've got Gatorade like dispensers everywhere. Every single Gatorade dispenser was water. And I could not have been more upset. Going onto a campus that's literally sponsored by Gatorade with all these Gatorade
And not having
trucks
Gatorade.
and all you can drink is water. What am I, a fucking camel?
You should have thrown a BF. All right, that's the perfect BF time. Look, Butterfingers? No, he's gonna throw a bitch fit.
Dear God.
Oh God.
I was.
I would take us out before things
As
get
we wrap
crazy
this
here.
up, one answer, no reason or description behind it. Best Airheads flavor.
Blue raspberry.
You're gonna make fun of me.
He's going grape.
I don't. It's perfect. Grape one.
He did.
I love grape.
So do I.
grape
So
flavors.
do I.
don't
All
know.
things grape are good except the Big League Chew.
Okay.
And I'm going with the standard. I'm going cherry.
Cherry's
Is
good.
that an orange? I like the orange one.
I like the watermelon one too, the green.
Fuck you guys.
They're all
And
good.
on that note, I'm gonna on my way home from my mom's to my apartment, I'm gonna go buy an Airhead or 12.
Buy one for us too.
I'll mail them down to you.
Buy one
Some
for
big
every
league-
one of our 57 subscribers. I don't know how many it is now.
We'll make it happen. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so far, if you would not mind, there you go. We got some Airheads.
The
going.
watermelon.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
If you haven't done so far, if you would mind, just drop a subscription on this video. We really appreciate it. Throw that thumbs up. Or you can tell us to hit the thumbs down if the thumbs down button still exists. I honestly don't know if it does anymore. And leave a comment. What's your favorite Airhead flavor? And what are you buying at the snack stand of your local baseball stadium? Until next time, that's Mike Davella. That's Mark Fignani. I'm Tyler Zulli. Jack Molesky will be back next week. We'll talk to you next week right here on Crossing the Line Podcast.
Your Airhead matches your hat.